in. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I forgot it was gonna. There we go. I was putting the slides in before, so I guess it kept me small. That was funny. Oh, let me get it so I can pop the. It's okay. I'm listening to the subway. I've been listening to it for like the last 24 fucking hours. The music video was so good. Hi, Bree. Hi, Marielle. Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Creepy Book Club. Are we all ready to talk about the summer I ate the rich? Marielle was the most prepared out of all of us. I know damn well she finished that book first. Snaps all around. But I have read the book. She has read the book. I'm so proud. You finished it so fast and so early. I was like, hell yeah, girl. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm ready to have a awesome discussion about this one, because this, like, we can give it a couple minutes for anybody else to pop in, but like not to start right away. But this was a little different than what I was expecting it to be. So I definitely want to get into it. Sorry, I still sound a little bit stuffed up. The throat is so much better, but it's like my nose can't decide if it's stuffed or not. Does that make sense? Like it'll clear out and I'll be like, okay, good. All right, we're getting over it. And then it'll. So if I sound in and out of it. I did take something right before the stream though, so hopefully no coughing. We'll see after like an hour of talking how my throat feels, but absolutely completely different than what I expected. Yeah, definitely different. Yeah. Can't jinx me. It's my birthday month. Uh-oh. What was that noise? Okay. Yeah, excited to hear what everybody thought of this one for sure. It read really fast though, so. Oh my god. the timing of this comment and then Des coming into the chat. Hi Des. You did summon him. Sorry. It's deciding it's stuffed. Hi Mindy. Very different. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's interesting if that's going to be the consensus, where it's like a little different than what I thought it was going to be. But yeah, PSA, no rich people were eaten in this work of fiction. Yeah, there was a distinct lack of rich people being eaten. I would almost say that the title and the cover are completely misleading. Interesting. Okay. I mean, let's dive in. I don't know if I do have my slides. I think this one is probably the closest one that kind of like corresponds. Yeah, so the book was a little bit more, I guess, like, I don't know, would we call it like it's more like conceptual of like eating the rich than literal, but I don't really know because obviously, like, yay slides, yay, love your slides, thank you. I have fun making them since I started doing it. I was like, oh, I like this, and it's nice, so it's like not just my face on the screen. So I enjoy that also. Um, but yeah, so I don't even know. I don't even know if we would call this like conceptually eating the rich, because she is kind of like controlling them in a way, like with her food. I don't know. It's very odd. But yeah, I'm gonna put these on the screen for my own vanity. Thank you. Thank you. Love you guys. I do still like having at least another visual. That's always fun. But yeah, so I don't know. What do you guys think? Cuz it's like I feel like even the whole like zombie thing, which I do have a slide for that too, kind of like the like a quick like origins of like the zombie folklore was kind of like it wasn't like conceptual, but it wasn't, I guess because it wasn't westernized, which we can get into for sure. It's more like she's controlling them with excuse me, with her food. And this is kind of like making a stretch, but like I guess with their need to like consume everything, obviously they're like drawn to her cooking, and it's like it starts to become like a trendy thing. So, they all want in on her like dinner club thing, and then that's how she's kind of able to control. Did she eat the dead old man's eyeball, right? Or did I hallucinate that? She definitely plucks the eyeball out. I don't know if she like eats it like in that moment. I can't really remember, but she does take the eyeball out. So that's like 3 books in the row with eye stuff. But I remember because she replaces it with the grape, right? Because it's the old guy, the old guy, whatever his name was, like Beauregard or something stupid. Yeah, Beauregard, some stupid rich man name. If it was just about conceptually eating the rich, that would be fine. But she's also a zombie. It's like they had to work to make it not connected. Yeah. Uh, the whole zombie thing was not resolved well, in my opinion. Yeah. I think because they did change up, in a second I'll bring up my slide about the zombie stuff. Like I think because they made a deliberate choice to do like original kind of like zombie folklore, I feel like they almost, not to like dumb it down for us, but like maybe like explain it a little bit because it is different to like what Western media has made zombies. Um However, it very much doesn't make it clear why she can control them with her food because there are dead people's spices in it. It's just like, this is what I did and does not give. Yeah, I think it was like, I think because they changed, like, not that they didn't change the mythology because they were using different mythology. It would have been nice to have. I was telling my dad the plot of the book about what happens to the old rich dude that dies and her getting the phone and making the donations. And then I was like, oh, and she's a zombie. In my most generous reading, eating the rich is a metaphor, but that's a stretch. Yeah, yeah. So here, maybe that wasn't the best I decided to start on. I did. There's like it's a lot longer if you like read kind of like the origins of like Haitian like zombie folklore, um, and this is just like a quick kind of summary. So it's like this is a little kind of like the lore they're operating off of. So um the lore of like the zombie dates back to the 17th and 18th centuries in Haiti, which has its roots in colonialism, which is like I kind of knew that going in, like I kind of got that vibe. So when French colonists forcibly brought enslaved Africans to work on sugar plantations in Haiti, the death rate was so high due to the obviously extreme and inhumane, excuse me in my nose, inhumane conditions. This prompted the colonizers continually replenish their labor force with new captives. That paired with like kind of like, you know, people talking and sharing stories, this kind of like birthed a sort of like zombie kind of mythology of, you know, having people control another human being. It has its roots in slavery and colonizing places. Um, so like as opposed to like Western media where we've kind of made it like the dead risen to life and like eating human flesh, being a zombie in Haitian culture is often seen as a condition where a person remains constantly under the control of a bokor or a sorcerer kind of. And this person who's in control must regularly administer a special potion to keep their victim in an unconscious state and maintain control, which is kind of what Brielle is doing with her food, I feel like. But then it just gets like a little muddled and weird because she's also a zombie. So I feel like it's a little like it gets a little muddled right in there because she's also a zombie, but it seems like she's kind of employing that kind of tactic of like administering like a potion, but like the potion is her food. I don't really know. That's my like take on it. And then I just added a little bit like this folklore kind of came to Western media during the US invasion and occupation of Haiti in 1915. So it was like not only was it born of like colonizers, and then it like came to like westernized media because of like occupation again. A better title would be to feed the rich to the rich. Yeah. It's less eating the rich and more working with the rich to try and change it from the inside, a tactic that always works as society has proven. Yeah, that kind of gets like messy and muddled also too, right? From my recollection, she's a hybrid of a zombie both from Haitian and American cultures, but this wasn't entirely clear. Yeah, I think I would have liked a lot more on the mythology also. I'm also not an expert on Haitian folklore, but I don't think a zombie is also able to be a bokor. That doesn't seem correct to me. Yeah, that's why it gets that's why it's like that's why it's kind of like weird because we have that kind of role with her mother's like the Frankie guy who is supposed to be like a bokor for Swan, who she that's who she has Brielle with. But yeah, that's where it's like it gets muddled because it's almost like Brielle she's both a zombie and becomes like the bokor, kind of like with her food. So it gets like kind of weird and muddled in there. Oh, good call. Yeah, because she is, yeah, I guess only half zombie because her father would have been. Oh, okay. Good call. Good call. Good call. So she's kind of like playing, yeah, playing both roles. Interesting. Okay. They also like kind of touch on her having like powers that is like almost like beyond her food, right? Or did I like misinterpret that? The whole mythology of it all, it's like I kind of wish I had a little bit more like clarity. Maybe clear. I wasn't in love with this book, but I would die for Brielle. I would like to know what everyone thinks about the rich guy she ends up with. Ooh, yeah. Here, I do have a slide for some of the supporting characters. Yeah, we have a couple of different ones, namely Preston, who is seemingly supportive of Brielle. It's giving like performative. It's giving he's never gonna understand fully. It's yeah. Ow, ow, ow. The lore is not clear, but as it really is device, I don't think it matters so much. Des pointed out that Marcelo is just a gay BFF, and I agree. Yeah, I feel like his character, Marcelo's character, was kind of just there to add like some warmth. And that was kind of about it. That's kind of it. He's very supportive, obviously. Although he also just kind of felt like a little bit of a device to create a space where Brielle could get the like body parts from the Beauregard guy, because his aunt, is it his aunt, I think, runs the funeral home. So that's how, kind of just seemed like a convenient way also for her to get body parts. That being said, we love him. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Especially compared to the other men in this. Oh my God. Marcelo's a shining star. Her ending up with Preston was a choice. Yeah, I was also kind of confused to that. Like, I mean, when it first started, I was kind of like, okay, I mean, she is a teenager, like, and she's getting attention from this boy, so I guess that's something. But towards the end, like, I don't know how you guys reacted to this, but like when all of the sudden they were like, we're getting married, I literally I like stopped where I was in the book and I like went to go look at the page numbers and I was like, am I missing a chapter? Like like genuinely, I was like what the actual fuck? And then from that moment, and it like obviously it changes a little bit because she reveals that she has known that it was Preston that killed his grandfather with his car, like, because she has the video, and so their like relationship changes in that moment, and then it's almost like it almost kind of feels like she like has a little bit of control over him maybe, and then she's gonna use him for his wealth and status. I guess that's what we were supposed to take away from that. I don't know. I want to hear what you guys thought about that, but I genuinely thought I was missing a chapter in my book because I was like, what the fuck? Like, Brielle's mom comes home from Haiti and they pick her up from the airport and they're like, yeah, we're getting married right now. It's like, what's happening? Their whole relationship is really strange. Oh, that's your cousin's name? Nice. That shows it's a good name. It was a real hetero don't moment. Deliberate choice on her part for social gain, yeah. But see, that's what's confusing though, because hi Witchy also, sorry. I meant to click on Mariel's comment, but also hi. That's what I like. At first I thought she was. And then the whole dynamic like shifts so fast. So I was like, okay, so maybe she wasn't the whole time. But the way it's like being described though also is that like, her cheeks get a little red. She kind of warms around him. You know what I mean? So it's like it made me feel like, oh, maybe she does like him, I guess. I was also hoping she was going to eat him at the end. Somebody should have been eaten for sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess technically somebody was, but it like wasn't in the way I think that we were all hoping or wanted it to happen. A little, I don't know, interesting. Yeah, that whole dynamic shift was odd, and then it made me question like the entire thing. Like, did she actually like him? But then I guess I also kind of like I don't really care if she likes him because I don't like Preston. So the plot was very instant in so many ways. Bokar Frankie is the big bad. Here defeated in 1 minute. Yeah, that also kind of happened so fast, like the build up to it. Preston discovers Brielle's plot. Next chapter gets married. Yeah. That's what made me think like almost like with that dynamic shift between Preston and Brielle, like maybe she just shifts to like kind of just taking control of him or something to use him. Which I mean, I guess like go girl. I hope it works out for her. Like because it's very like because you don't also know if that's even going to work in the end, right? Because what she does with Silas, Preston's father, completely, I just wanted to point out, completely different Silas from last month. Like Brielle at the beginning of the story, like kind of like pranks him when she gets the old phone by like donating some of his money to charity, which also I was kind of like, I mean, I guess it's like a social thing because all she really did was just like pledge money. She didn't have access to his bank account. You know what I mean? But I guess she did kind of like still do it on his behalf because she promised the funds, so it would look bad for him to go back on that. But that doesn't really like it doesn't really end up hurting him in the long run, does it? Like which is it was kind of an interesting thing to include. I felt like obviously she doesn't take all of his money, and I feel like that would have made maybe a bit of a difference. Like what she ends up like taking, donating is just like a drop in the bucket, but it doesn't really like do anything. If anything, it kind of made him look good. Because he donated it. Like he donated it even though it wasn't his choice and he wouldn't have done that otherwise. I thought that was an interesting thing to include because it's like it's meant to be you would think it's like a gotcha moment, but so it kind of just makes you think, I guess, about these billionaires because I guess not that I don't think they should like they shouldn't be donating their money and stuff like that, but like it's like how much are we willing to like forgive billionaires and rich people just because they donate money? You know what I mean? And how much of it is like billionaires really shouldn't exist? Yeah, it just forced him to be a little generous, which like ended up reflecting well on him. Like people are like, "Oh, how generous of Silas to give this money." And it's like, okay. Didn't really embarrass him, really. Do you think Brielle was actually the one eaten by the rich, and the reason she doesn't go all out on them is because instead of punishing her, they bring her into the fold? Oh. Oh. Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. I didn't think of it that way. She does yeah, I mean, she does end up kind of fully in that world by the end. I guess it's hard to say because it's like we don't know what happens after the story ends, right? We just know that her and Preston get married, and we're kind of just like assuming she's going to use that power and wealth to do what do what her dream is, which is to make food, which would then make her control more people, like control more of the wealthy, and do what though? Because she doesn't really do anything with the people that she's feeding food to. You know what I mean? It's just like she's gaining influence, but what is she doing with that? She softens quite a bit in her outrage, but if they had turned her over to the police, I imagine she would have gotten angrier. Yeah. Would we have chosen this book if it had been called The Summer I Was Eaten by the Rich? I don't know, probably. Because that changes the phrasing. So I at least would have looked into it. You know what I mean? Because I'd been like, oh, we're changing the phrasing. I do agree with that. Brielle's issue is not that they are rich, but that she isn't. Okay, yeah, and that kind of brings us back to the slide I started with. True. Because such a huge point of the story is the fact that the rich that the title is referring to, they aren't just rich, they're insulated from the consequences of their actions, right? So a huge plot point is Brielle's mother, who works for this family that runs a pharmaceutical company, who both profits from and neglects her care. Like they have the most to gain from her care, but they also don't do anything to help her. And then of course later on Brielle finds out that the drug that they're giving to people is highly addictive, and so they've created another drug to, you know, to help people who have become addicted to the first one. So it's either way they're making money. So they have there's a critique of the healthcare, at least the U.S. is healthcare system, and their neglect of Black women and immigrants specifically. So yeah, I think you're definitely correct in that Brielle's issue is not that they are rich, but that she isn't. I think you guys are right. Yeah. Especially because, and then going back to her, using Silas's money to make donations and stuff, it's more well, if I was rich, here's what I would do with the money because I'm better than this billionaire person. So it's more like her gaining power and influence so then she can use that money to donate and to help people, I guess. We don't really get to see that happening, so this is kind of just her getting to the point where she has power. But looking up interviews with authors, and they came up with the title and then built the story around it. Interesting. Especially given the fact, like, if the title came first and then they wrote the story around it, it's interesting how the story involves very little of eating the rich. It's definitely interesting. Huh. I also want to know, because we Des touched on it a little bit, like how quickly like Booker Frankie is kind of defeated. What did you guys make of like the whole Muses stuff? Her like half sisters, I guess they would be. Because there's these interludes and like sections of like conversations like of these sisters who are acting as muses, so which makes this feel like, I don't know, the fact that they're kind of like commenting on what's happening with Brielle and then also telling the story of their mother, Brielle's mother, and Swan and Frankie, like they almost feel like, I don't know, it feels like this is like a tragedy, or it's like a play or something like that, or it's like a parable or something, and the muses are kind of like contextualizing the story almost. I don't know. The title isn't really that interesting since eat the rich is such a well-established phrase by now. I was just looking forward to some good old-fashioned cannibalism. Oh, yeah, I've read that graphic novel. That was a good one. Didn't love it. It was a way for Brielle to have 5 sisters without actually giving them personalities. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I mean, like the most I could like pull from it is that like the idea of American freedom like comes at a cost. So like their family is like broken up and divided into 2 different countries because Brielle's mother had to leave Haiti. That's like the most I could pull from it. I mean, and then again, the idea of like maybe this was supposed to be kind of like a tragedy or a parable. That's what it just made me think of with like the muses. I instantly think of like Hercules, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't like, other than that. I mean, and that even that feels like it's a reach. Definitely feels like it's a reach. I mean, I guess maybe it gives her mother a reason to go back to Haiti, I guess. I don't know. I feel like a lot of this story, it's like a lot of the points in the story or the characters in this story were kind of shallow because they were just devices to get one of the more main characters to a certain point. What just fell behind me? Hello? Oh, it was a post-it. Okay. Okay. Sorry. You know, it was just like the sound of like a piece of paper falling where I was like, something fell. It was a post-it. It's fine. We're fine. We're fine. Not a ghost. Not a ghost. The fact that we don't really know what she does at her office job further supports Dez's idea. This is very insta. Yeah. They were a device to tell the backstory. Yeah. Yeah, maybe thinking a title and building the story around it was not a good idea. Yeah, yeah. That's an interesting choice. Yeah. Well, I feel like although I do feel like the fact that she doesn't really do anything at the office job, um, definitely like I think definitely supports the fact that it's definitely very Insta. I also think it's just like she's a diversity hire. She's just there to make the company look good, so that's why she's not really doing anything. Like it doesn't actually matter that she's there other than like the optics of it. I think Brielle's mother was probably the most interesting character. I would read a prequel if her backstory more fleshed out. Yeah, for sure. For sure, for sure. Although she did support Preston very quickly, which I was kind of counting on the mother to to maybe be like, I don't trust this white boy. But yeah, that was a whole. I don't know. It was interesting. It wasn't really like what I thought. Excuse me. It wasn't really what I thought. It was gonna be. So like, what did y'all make of like the ending, like where we leave off? Did she get her revenge? Was that the point? We kind of talked about it a little bit. You guys touched on it, but yeah, that was like my overall kind of like feelings at the end, where I was like, because I thought this was going to be a lot more of like a revenge tale. I loved Mummy. This was the most emotionally resonant and authentic for me, given that her story is based on the author's own mother's experience. That tracks. Yeah, I feel like if we just like focus more on that story, like the broken healthcare system, the way it not only like ignores like Black women's pain, like exponentially, and how it just like disenfranchises so many people. I feel like that would have been enough to make me angry. I mean, it was enough to make me angry reading this. I'll be bringing homemade food to first class sent me. Was so underwhelmed by the ending. Yeah, I found myself like asking like, how did we get here by the end? Even though I just read the entire thing. So it's like, I know how we got here, but also it's kind of like, how did we get here? Personally felt like she tried to convince herself that she did something when really she just married a random rich killer and got everything she wanted. No revenge to be found. Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of like an interesting it's interesting how, this idea that they like built this story around the title. That's like just getting into like I guess just like books in general. That's the first thing you see of a book. So it really does like kind of set the tone for what you're going to read. Which is interesting because I don't like as a concept, I don't disagree with the idea that somebody like Brielle's character should have money and influence. Like I think the world would be a better place if more people like Brielle had some power and had some influence versus the men that have power now. But the title and the cover art for sure just like leads you to think the story is going to be something else. So I feel like honestly, I feel like even just like changing the title and the cover of this would, I don't know if I would like absolutely like do a 180 and love the book. I didn't hate the book, but I don't know if I would like that would make me love the book, but overall, I think there were about 3 too many themes throughout the story, which caused none of them to have any depth. Maybe because it's YA. Yeah, maybe because it is YA. Maybe it was, yeah. I don't think Brielle was out for revenge. She wanted upward mobility, and that's what she got. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad she could take care of her family and friends at the end. I guess that's, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I feel like the title and the cover of this really makes you think it's going to be something else. So it's like, I'm not mad at the fact that she can take care of her family and friends at the end. Like, maybe just focus on that, I guess. We read some good YA in the past, though. Well, I think this was interesting to read too, like immediately coming off of literally the YA book we just read, The Serpent Bears Its Teeth, like which did have a lot of like depth to it. Not to compare and contrast. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna blow my nose really fast. I'm gonna mute my mic though. This whole like not being able to decide if my nose is clogged or not is really fucking me up. I'm like trying to breathe through my nose and then all of a sudden I can't. Okay. I liked Hyde. Wasn't Hyde YA? Yeah, Hyde was not YA. That was. Sorry, because it's hide and seek. As I said in my comments, I can see the what and the why of her endgame. I just don't agree with it as a strategy for social change. Yeah. 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 And I think you were right when you said like way at the beginning though too, Des, that I don't think it was, I think ultimately like going in, it wasn't about her getting social change. It was about her own upward mobility. I think again, I'm just going to keep going back to, I think the title makes you think it's going to be about social change because that's how we know this phrase. Yeah. It just doesn't go hard enough for this hardcore feminist socialist lesbian. Yeah, and we do know that YA has the ability to go hard, but yeah. Yeah. So I think I rated this like a 3 on Storygraph. I think I didn't like hate it. I just, but it was just a completely different story than what I thought it was going to be going in. Yeah, like the book we read last month, which was YA. Yeah, which was a great YA too. That one like had a lot of depth and gave it a 3. It was well written. I was just underwhelmed. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we could have tightened the screws a little bit and listened to most of this on audiobook on a really long car trip, and I was really hooked, even though it was way different than I expected. Gave it 3.5 stars. Yeah, the story did like kind of propel forward, so it was like easy. Like I pretty much read this in 2 sittings. Like it was really easy to do. So I didn't make it to 3. I was annoying and gave it 2. Yeah, like book rating is a lot different for me. I find it. Oh, I don't like that view. There we go. I like that. Okay. I feel like I like if I'm gonna rate a book lower than like if I'm gonna start going into like the 2 and the 1 territory, I'm like, why didn't I DNF it? So I find that I don't know. For me, I'm just like, yeah, it's weird. But 2.75 is that's nothing wrong with that rating. Gave it a 4. Appreciated the social commentary and what I think it was trying to do. Yeah, I feel like I also tend to rate that way. Also, I'm like, this is what I like. Feel like it was trying to do, which I appreciated. I read a whole book for this club in forever. You got this. You're committed to the whole back half of this year. You made a reading challenge and everything. Well, they can't all be bangers. They can't all be bangers, Okay, as per usual. Oh my god, banner, hello? There we go. Okay. What a delay on that. What else did y'all read this month? I'm pulling up my story graph so I can refresh myself. Excuse me. Had a long day. I'm still in the middle of a bunch of books right now, but still working through Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. It's so good. I'm trying not to speed through it because I'm just really enjoying it. After Kindred, jumping into the Bewitching. I don't have the physical book with me. It's on hold at work, but I had to fill in at another store today and yesterday, so I wasn't at my store. I wasn't even at a bookstore. I was working at frickin' Paper Source. Bummer month for me, nothing else. Aw. Usually so prolific, so it's bound to happen every so often, right? Hold on, I gotta blow my nose. I wish it would just decide if it's gonna be stuffed or not. Okay. Yeah, which I didn't really get through. I read a graphic novel, like Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, and then I read 2 like sapphic. It was just smut, really, is what it was. As you do. I used to not log that stuff because it's like, obviously I read that stuff from time to time. But then me and my coworker were talking about reading stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? If people can log like fucking Haunting Adeline and shit, I should be able to log my shit and not feel embarrassed about it. Best read was Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. Would also recommend the new short story collection, Brian Evanson, Good Night. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. I think that's a book. I think that's a bookseller. I think that's a Barnes & Noble bookseller. I'm pretty sure I had that as like one of my shelf talkers for his books. I pictured Des is glued to a book at all times. Reading slumps happen to us all. Or maybe Des was just busy. I don't know. Technically, I finished this yesterday, so not July, but One Yellow Eye by Lee Radford. It's so incredible. Ooh, One Yellow Eye. Oh my god, I'm stuffed up again. Hold on. God. I will mention again next book club. Yeah. Of course, you should log that. It is still reading. Yeah, still reading. Straight people read a lot worse. Straight people read a lot worse. So, I log picture books, so why not? Why not smut? Exactly. What a wild sentence. I also, anytime I have to fill in for story time at work, I do log the picture books that I read because I'm like, I'm reading it. Is Vicky fighting the ghost? If the ghost is in my sinuses, then yeah, I am. My nose can't decide if it's like clogged or not. And so it's like in the middle of talking, it's like I feel like it stopped up and I'm like, oh, oops. Sorry, I was going for this one. Then I'll get to Mindy's comment. I read 2 books about being gender fluid, which I am, called Symptom of Being Human, and both can be good. Then for something completely different, read The Catcher in the Loft, which was heavy but good. Damn. You were on like a real reading streak there, Marielle. Nice. My standouts were Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister. I've heard good things about that one. Empire of Silence by Christopher. I don't know how to say that last name, so I'm not going to try. The Republic of Thieves by Scott Lynch. Oh, that was one. Is that series that like Gentlemen Bastards? The first book was one of our monthly picks for July. And Chain Gang All Stars. I've heard good things about that one also. I really need to dive into like lit fic more often. My brain immediately sinus ghost coast to coast. Okay, yeah, it was the Gentleman Bastard series. Okay, yeah, I thought that was interesting that Barnes and Noble chose that. I was like, because the first book is like 20 years old. I was like, damn. Okay, it seems like everybody pretty much had a good reading month. I'm finally coming out of a slump, so I'm excited for. Hopefully, I should have like another good stack of books to talk about that I read also. But just as a refresher, really quick, there it is. Hi. So we have The Bewitching, which is the pick for this month by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Very excited to dive into that one. And then immediately followed by the new Haley Piper, A Game in Yellow, and my nose is stuffed up again. Oh my God. Sinus ghost. Seriously. So that's what we got coming up. I'm excited. I'm really excited for The Bewitching. I'm gonna try and get my store manager maybe to read it because she does not like scary stuff. She cannot do the scary stuff, but she did read Mexican Gothic. So I'm like, maybe I can get her to read another Sylvia Moreno Garcia book. Night, Maddie. I love you. Strangely excited for the Haley Piper, even though I didn't enjoy the last one we read. Yeah, when we read oh my god, what was it called? A Light Most Hateful? Is that what it was called? I can see the cover in my head. I'm excited for like because it's related to that like the King in Yellow, that like play that's like A Light Most Hateful. That's what it was called. Yeah. Thank you. I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see how weird it gets. It's supposed to be like weird and kind of like erotic and stuff, so I'm excited for that. I say in the most deadpan voice, yeah, I'm really excited for this like fucked up erotic novel we're gonna read. With the gods, kinda, yeah. It's like the main characters like created the entire world that they're in, and there's like there's like these demons and stuff. It gets like really weird and trippy a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Queer cosmic horror is the author's thing, Haley Piper's thing. Yeah, it is her thing. It is her thing. I keep trying to like get into it, like even though cosmic horror is not really my bag all the time, I'm like I always keep wanting to dive into it, especially when it's like from like a non-white voice or a queer voice, because I'm like hate H.P. Lovecraft, where this kind of came from. Love the people who are kind of like turning the genre on its head and stuff. So have a hankering for sci-fi right now, so I welcome suggestions for horror sci-fi or sapphic sci-fi. Ooh. Okay, I might have a couple of those. Agree, yeah. Yeah, if H.P. Lovecraft has no haters, I'm dead. But the amount of times I hand sell the Ballad of Black Tom simply by telling people, it's like, yeah, so this black author took one of H.P. Lovecraft's like most racist stories and turned it on its head. You'll really like this. And we have a good time in the horror section at my store. And you know what? I refuse to shelve him in my section, and nobody asks for him, and I feel like I've done my job. I just literally, like, any book I have of his I keep in. I think it either ends up in sci-fi or it's on my like overstock shelf and it never sees the light of day. I hate him so much. Little things I can do. The Outside trilogy. The Outside trilogy. My Ada Hoffman? Is that the right? This is a space opera. Oops, I didn't mean to click. You have Ada Hoffman. Okay. Fun. Whoa. AI gods who rule the galaxy. Whoa. Okay. I mean, the tags on it immediately, like queer, LGBT, lesbian, space opera. Love that. AI gods. Oh god, that might be too close to home. I mean, I just pulled. That's what my brain saw first. I don't know how much, I haven't read it. Don't let me, sway you. That's just what my brain saw first. Came out in 2019 though, so it might not be like at least that recent. Maybe not that close to home. Really like The Possession of Natalie Glasgow, Queen of Teeth, and The Worm and His Kings by Haley Piper. Yeah, I'm excited for the Game in Yellow. I'm excited. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and declare this Creepy Book Club meeting closed. Thank you for a great discussion, honestly. Like, I love that even if we don't necessarily like are in love with the book, we still always have a great discussion, not like being mean or anything like that. Or to anyone rewatching this stream, or if you're popping in here, if you enjoyed the book, please share your thoughts. Love to hear what everybody thinks of this stuff. And then excited to talk about the Bewitching. Witchy stuff. It's perfect for spooky season. I'm so excited. Yeah. Love this book club. I love you guys, honestly. This is like one of my favorite things that I do. This is book club. So thanks so much. And thanks for putting up with my nose and the ghost, the sinus ghost. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye. Love you.